Hello, my dear friends. This is Grace, and welcome to my channel. I am here with you sharing my first batch of my um, cards using my latest 10 handmade, 1 homemade card kit. Oh wow, that's a mouthful. Anyways, let's just get started. So with card number 1, I wanted to just play with this light bulb paper because I don't really have any use for it as far as like bright ideas. Oh wow, I just did a pun. How funny is that? Anyways, I didn't have any bright ideas for this card, so it was just pretty simple. I started off cutting the pattern paper into just a little bit smaller than an A2 card base, and maybe a quarter inch or maybe an eighth inch smaller on all sides. And then I'm rubbing one of the congratulations word on there, and then I'm going to wrap some twine on the top of that. And so the technique that I really wanted to play with this particular card was to add some shine to the light bulbs, because when you think about light bulbs, they have light and then they shine. So that's kind of what I am focusing on. So the rest of the card will be simple. Now, to add some shine to this, I had thought that maybe since I had pulled some glitter for this particular kit, that I can incorporate the glitter onto the light bulb images to have a little bit of shine. But before I do that, I wanted to adhere the whole thing onto my yellow card base first, just to make sure that I got that all in there. And then now I'm going to get some mini glue dots, and I'm going to adhere the glue dot just right onto the bulb, and then I'm going to sprinkle some glitter on there. And so in my head I thought, oh, this would look cool because of the shimmer of the glitter onto the bulb. But really, it didn't really work out, because apparently this glitter that I have is pretty chunky, and if I were to do this again, I would use more fine glitter, just because it just looked like big messes of chunky, I don't know, chunky things on there. So but I will actually at the end run or add some um, glimmer pen onto some of it as well, to give it a little bit of shine. So that's card number 1. Now go on to card number 2. So this one, I wanted to play with the dies that I pulled for this particular kit. I ran them through my Cuttlebug using the corner die and also the stitch edge die, and just used a dark blue cardstock from my scrap stash for that. And then these papers are just scraps, and I kind of wanted to use them like as much as I can. Like, I didn't want to have to cut them too small, so hence the reason why the card is kind of designed this way. I mean, there are some papers that would lend itself really well to being cut even smaller than what I was starting with, but for the most part, I look at these papers as a scrap and just kind of use them as is. So that's what I'm doing here. I did pull out a block that had these really fun balloons that just has a little word or a little sentiment that says big yay. Now it does say big, but it's not really big, so that's why I decided to do the word or the edge die over here, just to actually have a sentiment that is readable to the recipient. And then I'm just adding some liquid glue here. I'm adding them in little parts of the word itself, and then of course the edge on the bottom. Now, I love liquid glue to use with these kinds of dies, because you can put them in the very kind of skinniest corner that you can find, and of course, because it is liquid, that you can move your image around before it totally sets. And then to finish off my sentiment, I used some mini alphas and spelled out for you, and I'm going to put my stamping block on there just to give it a little bit of weight, so that it will help adhere that. Now initially at this block I'd wanted it to just lay flat, but really it wouldn't stand out if I did, so I added some foam adhesive to that, and then I'm pulling out my twine again and just wrapping some of it onto the card base on the bottom and then tying it with a bow to finish it off. And that will be card number 2. So now we move on to card number 3. Now I'm working with a very busy background, which is this teacup. I don't really have use for a lot of the pattern papers here. It doesn't work well with my scrapbooking style, being that it's super bold. So I'm just going to use it for my card making. And because the teacup is pretty bold, I needed to make sure that there is a kind of a space between my sentiment strip and then the pattern paper. So I created that, or I added that ombre blue paper there, and that will be my stripe paper to go in between those backgrounds. And then I had pre-stamped, and I'm going to cut these images, fruit images that I have. I've had these stamps for a long time, and so they don't come with a die, and so I'm just going to be adding, pre-cutting that. I'm cutting them on my own, fussy cutting them, and I'm totally fine with that. So the inks that I used um, for the fruits are the following. So I used, for the cherry, I used the festive berries. For the lemon, I used the mustard seed. For the pear, I used crushed olive, sorry, and they're all distress inks from Ranger. And then for the apple, I used a ruby ink from SCI, and I believe it's a pigment ink. So that's those are the colors of the fruits, in case you're ever wondering. And I actually use these. I decided to use the fruit because I don't know, I just felt like it would match the teacup better than any other images or stamps that I had with this particular kit. So figured all of them were fruit related, so, or food related I should say, and so that's why I went with that. Now I am going to wrap some more twine to around this card, just because, just because I can, because I had the twine, and why not. I kind of go through these phases where I would use a certain product a lot, and then it will just stick in my stash. And so twine and trims and ribbons and all of those are one of them. So I'm just happy that I am having an opportunity to use the stuff that I have. And so now I have adhered all of the fruits. Now I'm going to adhere um, I'm going to add the sentiment, which is just a simple thank you. And I went with the brown just because there were so many colors already in this card that I needed something that's a little bit more neutral, and also a little bit striking as well, so that it will, because it stands out, the color stands out against all of the other colors. Now I want to apologize for the kind of fogginess of this video. I don't know what happened to my camera while I was doing this, but it will definitely change as soon as I change my onto the next card. Okay, so now we are on card number 4, and this one's a baby themed card. I pulled out a stamp set that has the baby boy theme in it, and so I figured I should make a baby themed card. So I'm working with 2 pattern papers, one that's gray that has a very subtle design, and then the other one is this green. It has a little bit more pronounced image on there. And so I'm going to put the gray one on the top because I wanted that to be a very subtle background for all of these cute images that I had pre-stamped and hand cut to go onto the top of my card. My idea was to create a clothesline for this, and so that's why they're kind of on an arch right now. And then I am going to cut out my sentiment. I pre-stamped that with just some black hybrid ink from My Favorite Things, and it just says it's a boy. Initially I was gonna go with congratulations, it's a boy, but if I already added that blue stripe or blue strip of paper in the middle of the pattern papers, and I if I put the congratulations there, it wouldn't really stand out, but if I put white, it will cover parts of it. So I am still thinking what I'm going to do with that congratulations, and you will see me kind of change up my idea on that a, a little bit later. So now I'm going to work on the clothesline part of my card, and I'm going to add my onesie first, and then my monkey, and then my cow. Just a heads up, or just FYI, for the cow, I used ground espresso ink. For the onesie, I used Mermaid Lagoon, and for the monkey, I used tea dye, and they are also all distress ink pads. So, and I'm gonna use some of the washi that I had pulled for this particular kit, and to fasten the rest of the twine on the back side of the pattern paper. And so now that that's all good, I think I am going to commit and adhere everything. I have this strip of double-sided adhesive, and that's what I'm going to be using for to adhere these papers onto my yellow cardstock. So I just want to let you know that if you are ever interested in finding out the products that I have pulled together for this particular homemade kit, make sure that you check out the description below, because it will be the link will be there. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because then you will know when I publish a new video, or when a new video goes live in YouTube. And if you like these videos, make sure that you give it a thumbs up. I also wanted to talk about how some of my previous videos, they say people are saying that they hardly hear me, and let me tell you, that has been kind of a big thorn in my throat, I should say, for quite a while, and I am running out of ideas on how to fix that. I did, however, find an interesting video on YouTube where it said that if you are watching videos like mine on YouTube, sometimes there is some kind of um, setting that does not that affects the audio of videos like mine as you watch it on a mobile device. So I'm trying to figure out how to fix that on my end. I'm not a very technical person. So if you are frustrated about that, I am, let me tell you, I'm frustrated about it. But if you want to watch my videos with audio, you can always try it on a laptop or on a computer with speakers. Um, Otherwise, if you're watching it on mobile device, that might be an issue for you. So just a heads up. But do know that I'm constantly trying to figure out how to fix that. I'm not just saying this just so that you can just figure it out on your own, because I do know that your time is precious, and I appreciate you watching my videos, and I apologize that it can be not having a video can cause some frustration in watching it. Um, but know that I am not a technical person. And like all the things that I'm learning as far as technical aspect is all through Google and YouTube, and so bear with me, because this is a new frontier for me. Okay, let's go back to the card, shall we? So this is my final card, and I wanted to use the fruit stamps, but a lot of the pattern papers did not connect with the fruits, and so I made my own background for this. I used the washi to create a mask so I can make a diagonal stripe background. And then I had these small papers, and I am just going to use that kind of as a frame to frame all of my pre-stamped and pre-cut images here. And then I'm going to use my sentiment on the bottom. I have to say, I really enjoyed making this card. This is one of my favorites, because this was all kind of, like I made the card from start, like the background was made, and it's very DIY type card for me. Like, it's, I don't know how else to describe that, but yeah, I was really happy with how this one turned out. And also, just let you know, with the background, I used wild honey, ripe persimmon, and spiced marmalade for all of the stripes that you see in the background of it. And I'm just kind of figuring out which kind of ink I can use to ink up the edges, because they are not standing out really well against the background, and I used some tea dye distressed ink for that. And now it's time to adhere. I did use a blue thank you sticker from Doodlebug as my sentiment there. And I'm just going to adhere all of the blocks first, and then I'm going to adhere the fruits with some fun or some foam adhesive. Now these little blocks have some words to them. As you can see, the ampersand, um, and then there's some other words in in some of the other blocks, but I really don't care for the words. They don't fit into my card, and so I am just going to just ignore them and cover them up with some fruit. Now the light bulb, you can see, is right side up at this moment, but when I put my pear, it will, some of the white of the bulb will show, and so I'm actually going to turn that over so that the shape of the light bulb matches the shape of the pear, and so you will never know that there was a light bulb underneath that blue paper. So thankfully the adhesive that I used was not totally permanent, that I was able to pull it up and then moved it around. And so those are my 5 cards for the day. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, please do so. And make sure that you check out the part 2 of this process video on the next go around. Bye guys.